So good morning friends, welcome to Raj Malhotra IAS. So guys, here we are about to start the session. So just give me a minute. The PDF for today's session will be uploaded on our Telegram group. So Mohit, Ajay, Mahi, Vicky, Dr. Preti, Navjeet, Vivek, Sukhpreet, Saurabh, good morning all. Good morning everyone. So here we will be starting this session. Just give me a minute. The PDF will be uploaded on our Telegram group. You can download the PDF. And I would like to tell you friends, today we have included some of the important maps. Okay, so कुछ maps हमने ऐड किए हैं which will definitely help you out, जो आपको ज़रूर help करेगा. So there is some issue here. So after this session I will be providing the maps to you and the PDF will be uploaded. So let's start the session. Let's see what exactly is there for us. Okay, देखते हैं आज के सेशन में हमारे लिए क्या खास है. Okay, so let's see. Now let's start with the quote. The quote is saying that truth cannot be suppressed and always is the ultimate victor. Truth cannot be suppressed and always is the ultimate victor. This is what Yajurved is saying. Now you need to understand one thing. Look at what Gandhiji did. Okay, look at the India's freedom struggle. Look at India's freedom struggle. Okay, now it shows that if you are sticking to the truth, अगर आप सत्य के पाथ पे रहोगे, then definitely it may take some time. It may take some time, but victory will be yours. Victory will be yours. This is what India's freedom struggle and the life that Gandhiji has lived, this is what it proves. This is what it proves. So, if someone will try to suppress the truth, if someone will try to suppress the truth, then definitely in one way or the other, it will be out. अगर कोई कोशिश भी करेगा तो वो सत्य जो है वो बाहर आ जाता है. That's the point here. Okay, so in our personal life we should be truthful to ourselves. आप हमेशा अपने आप को अपने लिए truthful रहिए, because if you are not able to be truthful with yourself, then you will not be able to identify the shortfalls that you have. जो कमियां हैं आप में वो आप कमियों को identify नहीं कर पाओगे and you will not be able to improve. So truth in your life is important because it will help us in identifying the weakness that we have. And till the time you don't identify the weakness, you will not be able to work upon that. That's the critical part here. Okay, so ये चीज जो है हमें यहाँ पे समझनी है, that truth cannot be suppressed and always is the ultimate victor. This is the important message that we have learned here. So let's look into things in detail. थोड़ा डिटेल में जाते हैं, देखते हैं आज की अखबार हमारे लिए क्या खास कहती है. So here we have this news. RBI raises rates to tame the inflation. So it was quite expected that RBI is going to do that. Already the RBI governor has come out with some statements that till March 2023, this is what is going to be. RBI is further going to increase the rates. Okay, and it is said that it is going to be touching the rate what it was before the COVID times. COVID आने से पहले जो rate था वो हम touch करने वाले हैं. This is what RBI is saying. It means that he is very serious about dealing with inflation. He's very serious about dealing with inflation, and it is important as well, because when you talk about inflation, it is the poor section of the society which who are going to face the major trouble. उनके ऊपर सबसे बुरा असर जो है वो यहाँ पे पड़ता है. Okay, so this is what has been done. Now the point is that as RBI is increasing the interest rate, okay, it is going to also increase the borrowing cost for the MSME and other sectors. उनकी borrowing cost भी increase हो जाएगी. Your household expenditure is going to increase because earlier the installments that everyone was paying, say house loan है किसी का car loan है, those installments are also going to increase. वो installments भी increase हो जाएंगे. Okay, so that's the important development. That's the important development. Now there are few more things that you have to understand here. The point is this: whether this is the right exercise. Why I am saying this, why I am raising this question, because you need to understand, even the RBI governor acknowledges this thing, that present crisis of Ukraine Russia, okay, it is adding fuel to the inflation. वहां से inflation जो है आपका majorly आ रहा है. And in that scenario, whatever monetary policy initiative that RBI is taking to somehow tame the flow of money in the market, tame the flow of money in Indian economy, it may have some limited application. उसका application, उसका impact उतना ज़्यादा शायद ना हो. Okay, but still RBI has to reduce the flow of कैश इन द इकोनॉमी के अंदर जो है कैश फ्लो को थोड़ा रोकना है, एंड प्राइमरीली दिस विल बी डन बाय इंक्रीजिंग द रेट्स. ओके, सो रेट्स को इंक्रीज करके ये किया जाएगा. इफ पीपल विल हैव लेस मनी इन देयर हैंड, देन डेफिनेटली द डिमांड फॉर मल्टीपल थिंग्स विल कम डाउन. एज द डिमांड विल कम डाउन, डेफिनेटली द प्राइसेस विल ऑल्सो कम डाउन. दिस इज द होल आइडिया. ये पूरा आइडिया जो है जो हमें समझना है. ओके, नाउ MPC also decided to remain focused on withdrawal of accommodation, which had been provided to support the COVID-19 hit economy. So what happened, as India was, when the whole world was impacted by COVID-19, at that time all the central bank across the world, they reduced the interest rate. सब जगह जो है इंटरेस्ट रेट यहाँ पे कम कर दिया गया था. इंटरेस्ट रेट इन द सेंस दैट द रेपो रेट एंड अदर वर रिड्यूस्ड. ओके, रेपो रेट वगैरह को काफी कम कर दिया गया था. ठीक है ना. सो राइट नाउ दिस इज द सिनेरियो दैट दोज रेट्स विच वर रिड्यूस्ड बाय द सेंट्रल बैंक्स, दे आर अगेन मूविंग इन दैट डायरेक्शन कि भाई वो उसको वापस पुराने रेट्स की तरफ जा रहे हैं. दिस इज हाउ द होल थिंग इज. Now what happened as the whole world was hit by COVID, okay, so उस टाइम पे जरूरत थी ग्रोथ को पुश करने के लिए इंटरेस्ट रेट नीचे करने की. राइट नाउ दे हैव कंक्लूडेड दैट द ग्लोबल इकोनॉमी, स्पेसिफिकली इंडियन इकोनॉमी, इज इन अ डिसेंट शेप कि अब जो है इंटरेस्ट रेट हम इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं. ओके, दैट्स द होल आइडिया. Other than that, there is nothing much, कुछ खास नहीं है. Satisfied with India's action, this is what the Iranian minister is saying. Already India and Iran, we are talking about a deep, you can say, relations. So this is what you have to understand. Now you have to know the background of this thing. Already Iran US talks are going on. Okay, and those who don't know, I would like to tell you this thing. ईरान वॉज अंडर सैंक्शन. ईरान के ऊपर सैंक्शन लगे हुए हैं. ओके, ईरान के ऊपर सैंक्शन क्यों लगे हैं? बिकॉज ऑफ द न्यूक्लियर प्रोलिफरेशन. प्रोलिफरेशन मीन्स दैट Iran was working on a nuclear weapon. It was developing a nuclear weapon, and these sanctions were existing since 2004, 2005. Since then, these sanctions are existing. Now earlier as well, in 2014, under Obama administration, this idea was proposed that these sanctions will be lifted. Okay, in return to that, Iran will stop its nuclear program. Iran will stop its nuclear program. This was the idea. Then Trump came and Trump moved US out of the negotiation. US out of the negotiation. Okay, what has happened right now under the Biden administration? Those negotiations have been revived. अब वापस हम उन नेगोशिएशंस को रिवाइव कर रहे हैं. There are good chances that these sanctions will be lifted from Iran. And if these sanctions are lifted from Iran, India will be a major beneficiary. Why India will be a major beneficiary? First thing is that Iranian oil, okay, Iranian oil will also enter the international market. And as the Iranian oil will enter the international market, definitely oil prices will come down. Oil prices कम हो जाएंगे यहाँ पे, ये major benefit होगा. Another important benefit is that we have invested heavily in Chabahar port. चाबहार पोर्ट के अंदर इंडिया ने इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है. वी हैव बेसिकली कंस्ट्रक्टेड दैट पर्टिकुलर पोर्ट, ओके, बट बिकॉज ऑफ दीज सैंक्शंस वी कैन नॉट एक्सप्लोर इट्स फुल यूटिलिटी. पूरी यूटिलिटी को हम जो है अच्छे से यूज नहीं कर पाए हैं. So if these sanctions are lifted, then definitely India will be in a position to use the Chabahar port to its full capacity, and there we are talking about our connectivity to Central Asia. वहां से हम सेंट्रल एशिया के साथ अपनी कनेक्टिविटी को एक्सप्लोर करेंगे. दिस इज द कंप्लीट पिक्चर दैट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड हियर. ओके, तो ये पूरी पिक्चर आपको मालूम होनी चाहिए. नाउ विल मूव टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट, एंड नेक्स्ट इज योर like editorial section. सीधा editorial section के ऊपर जाएंगे. We'll try to figure it out. What else is there in this editorial section? Okay, so here we are. Now, vicious domestic politics and foreign policy shocks. Okay, so this is regarding the statement made by the spokesperson of BJP. So this also shows that like these days, this is the globalized world. Whatever you are doing domestically, it will have some impact internationally. Okay, that if you continue to come out with these statements, absurd statements demeaning a particular religion, then definitely there will be some backlash from the external powers, and this is what we have seen here. यही चीज हमें देखने को मिली है. तो as some of the BJP persons, they came out with some absurd statements, and right now Indian government is facing this backlash from West Asian countries, specifically the Islamic countries. Okay, specifically the Islamic countries. So this is the important point you have to understand. Like we really need to control our tongue. हमें अपनी जबान संभाल के रखनी चाहिए, because you never know, your one statement can offend multiple countries, and this is what they are doing. Okay, that's the major problem here. So domestically things are going to have impact in your international relations. You should be very responsible while dealing things domestically. आपको बिल्कुल वहां पे responsibility के साथ काम करना होता है. That's the important point here. And apart from that, I already told you, nearly 8 million Indians are living. Okay, 8 million Indians, they are living in West Asia. West Asia is a source of $64 billion of remittances. Overall India के अंदर कुछ 84-88 billion dollar आता है. Out of that, it is estimated that $64 billion is coming from West Asia. तो इतना important area है, and we are coming out with absurd statements. That's why your government is trying to, deal with this. उसलिए आपकी सरकार इस पे काम कर रही है. And other part is that, what about the plural, you can say, character of India? What about the plural character of India? Means we have tolerance, we have secularism, and we talk about respecting all the religions. आपके secularism में हम सबको respect कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, and here disrespecting a particular religion or an important figure from a particular religion, seriously it is going to have impact. That's the point here. So we'll move to the next part. Now here this editorial is regarding the Hyderabad encounter killing. Okay, so see, multiple times I have said that rule of law is majorly critical. Rule of law is majorly critical in your democracy. जब भी हम डेमोक्रेसी की बात करते हैं तो रूल ऑफ लॉ एक इंपॉर्टेंट एंटिटी होती है. ठीक है ना? Now the point is that this is what has happened. So in Hyderabad, rape accused, they were encountered. Okay, rape accused, they were encountered, and later on with this particular, you can say, inquiry, it has been proven that that was a fake encounter. Now this was not the only case. We had some reservation regarding Vikas Dubey case. Okay, वो भी पूरा मामला है. So this was the Hyderabad case. Now the point is that in this particular thing, people might be happy that कि भी हाँ instant justice मिल गया, but the major casualty is your rule of law. कहीं ना कहीं rule of law जो है वो हमें यहाँ पे चाहिए ही चाहिए, because it is in line with the democratic principles. Now here these findings are really very shocking, and this is also linked with the issue of police reforms. So this is not the only case. This is not the only case. So we had Tamil Nadu case where it was a case of custodial death. वो custodial death का मामला था. Father, son, they both were killed. Okay. We have Vikas Dubey. We have this particular case of Hyderabad encounter. There was another encounter carried out by Madhya Pradesh police. So this is what you have to understand. Rule of law is the major casualty, and rule of law is critical for our democratic system. So this is what has been proven in this particular finding, that it was a fake encounter. Okay, that 4 youth who were suspected to have gang raped a veterinary doctor, they both were killed. उनको मार दिया गया वहां पे. And the commissions that were there to inquire into the fake encounters. So what is alarming is that only the low ranking officers, they are being targeted. What about the IPS officers who must have given the go ahead? So senior police officer, they will be having the consent to eliminate the criminals. बिना seniors के consent के this act is not possible. But the point is that only the low ranking officers, they are targeted. That's the point here. That's the point here. Now, why it is important? Because you have to restore the rule of law. It's about the credibility of the police. Okay, credibility of the police is under question mark here. So it is important that the complaints that are there for your fake encounter needs to be attended with top priority. That's the most important thing here. That's the most important thing. So Ankit Sharma is absolutely right, and he is saying that justice hurried is justice buried. Absolutely right. There is a due process of law. Whatever process is there in the law, you have to follow that. वो चीज करना जरूरी है. And Vicky Gautam Yadav is asking, sir, in which situation police have right to encounter? I am saying that they don't have the right to encounter. They can fire in self defense. अपने self defense में वो fire कर सकते हैं. Okay? Encounter is not legitimate. बिल्कुल भी वो legitimate नहीं है. So in self defense, if they are firing and there is some casualty on the other side, that might be acceptable. वो हमें acceptable होगा. Normally ये चीजें acceptable नहीं है. So Markandeya Katzu, the Supreme Court judge, he has stated one thing. He said that fake encounter killing by cops, they are nothing but cold-blooded murders, and it should fall in the category of rarest of the rare, and there should be a death sentence to that policeman. So those policemen who are indulged in such acts of fake encounter, there should be death sentence for them. This is what not I am saying. These are the words of Markandeya Katzu. ये उनकी जबान है. So we'll move to the next part now. आगे चलते हैं. So here we have this editorial which is talking about dealing with Indo-Pacific is not easy. Okay. So basically in this they are discussing whether this particular new initiative of Indo-Pacific economic framework by United States, whether it will be successful or not. See, you need to understand one thing. Right now, what is the situation? The situation is that negotiations have not started. Okay, negotiations have not started. Things are not clear how this particular Indo-Pacific economic framework is going to operate. किस तरीके से ये ऑपरेट करेंगे, इस चीज को लेके कोई क्लैरिटी अभी तक नहीं है. Only thing that has been done is that announcement has been made, and these particular countries, they have shown the willingness. इन countries ने थोड़ी willingness दिखाई है that we will be joining this particular thing और हम साथ में मिलके करते हैं कुछ. Okay, this is the only idea. Now, like it is what they are saying that this IPEF may be a good idea. The framework does not address the issues of trade and tariff. ट्रेड एंड टैरिफ के इशू को एड्रेस करना जो है वो सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है. ओके, नाउ along with this, look at the environment around this particular declaration. Jab Biden he was making a statement, so there were multiple activities that were going on. Okay, so Biden had his presence in this country called Japan. Now we know this fact that Japan and China, they have dispute. Okay, along with that, North Korea was firing missiles. North Korea ने मिसाइल टेस्ट किया है, ठीक है ना. अगेन द ताइवान वॉज अंडर एक्टिविटी, ताइवान भी एक्टिविटी के अंडर था. एंड व्हेन दिस समिट वॉज गोइंग ऑन, दिस डिक्लेरेशन वॉज गोइंग ऑन, China and Russia, they carried out their air force exercise, means their planes were flying jointly. Joint patrolling was carried out by them. This was the whole environment when this summit was taking place. Okay, so you have to understand one thing here. It means that things might not be that easy, because the new conservative South Korean government, they had shown willingness to turn the heat on North Korea, means they are ready to expand the presence of United States missile system in the country, which will not be liked by China. China को वो पसंद नहीं आएगा. Japan, they have already said that they are going to done away with the long standing 1% GDP ceiling, कि भी 1% अपनी GDP का डिफेंस पे स्पेंड करेंगे, not more than that. That ceiling, they are trying to remove that ceiling. Means Japan is also willing to spend more for its defense. अपने डिफेंस के लिए जापान भी और स्पेंड करने का सोच रहा है. So this is the scenario right now, and already we know that like as per the 1979 congressional law, the US shall provide Taiwan with arms for a defensive character. And here Biden has also clarified that the US is ready to help Taiwan militarily, कि अगर कहीं ना कहीं चाइना यहाँ पे कोई एक्टिविटी करता है, then US will come to rescue Taiwan. That's the whole scenario. This is the whole environment that is going on. Okay, now the point is that these developments are very difficult to handle, because a small incident can develop into a full-fledged war. That's the point here. So we know that like this is how North Korea is creating troubles with its missile test and nuclear weapon, or you can say threat of nuclear weapon. They are regularly doing it. Okay, they are regularly doing it. China is openly defying the international law in the South China Sea. बिल्कुल ऐसा कर रहा है. They already have dispute with Japan in terms of Senkaku Island. Okay, this is the complete map. So here, like this is the Senkaku Island, as you can see, and this is sort of a boundary dispute. It's a maritime boundary dispute between Japan and China. You see the left map. In left map, you will see partial islands, partly islands. These are also the pending disputes. These are also the pending disputes. So it means that when such type of disputes are existing, the triggering point for a war, the chances are really very high. तो उस चीज के chances भी यहाँ पे काफी होते हैं. Okay, so this is the important point here. Now, whether this particular IPEF it will be a success or not, so this is what we have to look into. Now, announcement has been made, okay, and we know that it is important that if you want to counter China, then definitely you have to provide the economic alternative. तो चाइना क्या करता है? चाइना अपनी चेकबुक डिप्लोमेसी यूज करता है, अपना पैसा यूज करता है. ओके, चाइना यूजेस इट्स चेकबुक डिप्लोमेसी एंड यूजेस इट्स मनी. And definitely to counter that, you need to have the economic, you can say, effort. You need to have this economic balancer to China, कि alternative दुनिया को कुछ नजर आना चाहिए. That's the point here. So right now this particular group, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, they are working together. Okay, so like Australia, Brunei, India, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam. Okay, these are the countries, and Fiji is also one of the country. Okay, So along with that, this particular group, they will work on four major pillars, that is resilient supply chain, rules for digital trade, green energy commitment, and fair trade practices. Okay, this is what they will be targeting. And resilient supply chain is important because these countries, they want to reduce their dependence on China, कि चाइना के ऊपर डिपेंडेंस जो है वो कम की जाए. ओके, एंड यू हैव टू फाइंड द ऑल्टरनेटिव. आपको ऑल्टरनेटिव फाइंड करना पड़ेगा चाइना का. दिस इज व्हाट दे आर एस्पायरिंग टू डू. Now the point is that North Korea, South Korea, they are already having a strong relations with United States, so they can definitely think about having, say, military component. In the same way, India is a part of Quad, but we are very mindful because we know that apart from India, no other country shares the border with China. We are the only one who is sharing the land border with China. हमारा लैंड बॉर्डर है, एंड इट मीन्स दैट योर नेबर इज गोइंग टू लिव देयर. एंड एज पर अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, ओके, सो ही सेड दैट यू कैन चेंज फ्रेंड्स एंड नॉट नेबर्स. आप फ्रेंड्स बदल सकते हो लेकिन नेबर्स नहीं बदल सकते. सो इट मीन्स दैट वी हैव टू लिव विद चाइना no matter how strong it is. So parallelly, you have to make yourself strong. This is what we have to do here. यही चीज हम कर सकते हैं. That's the point here. So we'll move to the next part now. We'll look into this particular thing, Ukraine war and the global food crisis. Okay, so please pay attention here. So now you need to understand one thing. We know that major impact is going on right now. Look at this map. Now here in the Black Sea, this particular area is under the Russian control, and even in this particular area, okay, lot of mining has been done. The mining is so vast that it is difficult for ships to leave the port. That's a major challenge. Difficult for them to leave. Now in this scenario, as ships are not moving out, export activity become difficult. ये चीज difficult हो गई है. Okay, and this is what it is impacting the global, you can say, supply. Now this is the present situation. This is the present situation, and as there is a shortfall, the prices are increasing, and the increase is tremendous. Already these countries, they were facing the trouble because of COVID-19 pandemic. Because of lockdown, there was already a disruption of global supply chain. Global supply chain आपकी पहले ही खराब हो गई थी. Okay, global supply chain was, not functioning earlier as well. And contrary to that, we had this development where Ukraine-Russia war, and right now, like, the whole of the Black Sea is difficult to operate because of the mining. Now the point is that even if the Russians and the Ukrainians, they solve the issue today, आज की डेट में भी solve करेंगे, the demining activity is going to take time. उसमें time लगेगा. That's the point here. So this is the whole thing you should know. Already the food, fuel, fertilizer prices are increasing, and we know that we are facing sort of a global inflation right now. पूरी दुनिया के अंदर ये inflation नजर आ रहा है. Okay, now look at this picture. These are the major wheat growing areas. These are the major wheat growing areas. Okay, so as you can see, this part is Ukraine plus Russia. This is Ukraine plus Russia, and like they were the significant contributor to the, you can say, supply of wheat. Contrary to that, there are some other developments that Chinese are holding the wheat. Okay, it has also been found that they are buying wheat from the international market, कि भाई इंटरनेशनल मार्केट से wheat खरीद रहे हैं, and they are carrying out the holding activity. उसको एक जगह इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं. And this is further impacting the supply. This is further impacting the supply. Okay, so you have to understand one thing. You have to understand one thing here. Like, if we don't resolve this Ukraine Russia war, then definitely this crisis will prolong. ये war अगर खत्म नहीं होता है तो ये crisis आगे भी चलता रहेगा. That's the important point here. Okay. Now suppose, like, what type of question UPSC can ask from here. Now, like, these are the major wheat growing areas, so you should have idea about the wheat growing areas. वो आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. Okay. In the mains itself you should be knowing it. In your GS paper 1, the question can be asked, because UPSC did ask a question on steel industry. In the same way, like on this agriculture, specifically the wheat, the question UPSC can ask. Now, this was the story of wheat. Now, this is the story of soya bean oil. Okay, soya bean oil. Because we have seen there is also a shortage of edible oil. So edible oil की भी shortage चल रही है यहाँ पे. Okay. This is also adding to the inflation. Now, Ukraine and Russia, they are a major contributor, they are a major exporter of soybean oil. Soybean oil के major exporter हैं आपके यूक्रेन और रशिया, and their supply is not coming. This is how it is impacting the global supply. अदर ऑल्टरनेटिव इज पाम ऑयल. अगर दूसरे की बात करते हैं तो अदर ऑल्टरनेटिव इज पाम ऑयल. नाउ एज द डिमांड फॉर पाम ऑयल इंक्रीज्ड internationally, the demand for palm oil increased because soya oil is not coming, so the prices of palm oil increased significantly. And as the prices increased, contrary to that, Indonesia, which is a major contributor of palm oil, exporter of palm oil, they imposed export ban. वो export ban लगा देते हैं. So this is the present scenario right now. Now the point is that without edible oil, countries cannot survive, specifically country like India. भाई हमारे यहाँ तो पकोड़े सब लोग को खाने ही हैं, ठीक है ना, पकोड़े वगैरह सब लोगों को खाने हैं. ओके, सो इफ द एडिबल ऑयल इज नॉट अवेलेबल, इट्स अ मेजर प्रॉब्लम. सबके लिए एक मेजर प्रॉब्लम है यहाँ पे. सो दिस इज द होल पॉइंट हियर. दिस इज द होल पॉइंट हाउ थिंग्स आर टू बी इम्प्रूव्ड. नाउ we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं. So this was the whole story. Okay, so the future of Indian secularism. See, this is what they are asking. The questions have been raised because of multiple issues. One thing is that, like, the statements that are being made here, जो statement हमारे यहाँ पे political class use कर रही है. Okay, that's the point here. Along with that, like, look at the intolerance that is going on in this country, which is impacting the secular character of this country. बिल्कुल उसका असर पड़ रहा है यहाँ पे. Okay, so this is whole thing you have to understand. Religious intolerance is increasing, violence is increasing, and that's really very alarming. और electoral gains के लिए these political parties, they are misusing the religion. This is what we should avoid at every cost. Okay, India is a diversified country. Diversity, pluralism, this is the strength of India. ये हमारे strength है, and we should not, you can lose these strength. हमें किसी भी हालत में ये strength lose नहीं करनी चाहिए. That's the important point here. So we'll move to the next part. आगे चलते हैं. So ahead of sowing, Kharif MSP revealed. Okay, so there are some factual things that you have to understand. First thing is that this particular MSP is released by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Okay, वो इस चीज़ को रिलीज करते हैं. And primarily why this particular, say, advance declaration of MSP is important, because this is important for the security of the farmer. Okay, so you have to persuade farmer, so that he can continue the agricultural activity, and agriculture can remain profitable for farmer. This time MSP has been increased because the input cost is also increasing. Input cost increase हो रही है. Further, the government is saying that the fertilizer subsidy that they are going to provide this year, it is going to reach out to 2.1 lakh crore. इतनी ज़्यादा फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी जो है वो गवर्नमेंट देने वाली है. ओके, इतनी ज़्यादा जो है ये फर्टिलाइजर सब्सिडी देने वाली है. Now this is the whole thing that you should know. This is the whole thing that you should know. Already some states are giving the power subsidy as well. So one student is asking, sir, how can we counter that particular statement of politician which disturbs social capital? Okay. See, the point is that you have to use education. If the masses are educated, अगर masses educated हैं, okay, and if they are aware that voting should be done on issues, voting जो है वो अपने मुद्दों पे होनी चाहिए, okay, not on communal lines, so they will choose the right set of people. They will choose the right set of people. This is the only solution that we have. The short term solution to this problem that you are asking is not possible. Short term solution तो available नहीं हो सकता है, ठीक है ना? So this is the thing that you have to understand. So other than that, Chinese activity in Ladakh eye-opening. This is what US Army General is saying. He is on a visit to India and he is talking about this thing because China is carrying out major construction activity. Okay, काफ़ी भारी भरकम construction जो है वो border area के अंदर चल रहा है and definitely US has raised some alarms. So we also have to carry out the balancing act. हमें भी जो है हमारे यहाँ पे border infrastructure को अच्छा बनाना होगा. Okay, we also need to work upon our border infrastructure. That's the point here. Because other than balancing and mapping China, there is no other option that is available. वही करना पड़ेगा. चलिए, so we'll move to next. So government scheme helped poor live with dignity. Okay, so here they are talking about Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. So some of the facts are out. The facts are saying that like because of this particular scheme, poor section of the society they have been majorly benefited. Okay, उनको benefit हुआ है इस चीज से. That's the important point here. Otherwise they would have to compromise on their food. इनकम अगर नहीं आ रही है तो आपको खाना कम करना पड़ता है, बट बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग वाज अवॉइडेड. Now India and Vietnam they signed mutual logistics agreement. It's a really good development. Their joint vision statement they talk about defense partnership, okay, with each other. अच्छी डिफेंस पार्टनरशिप रहेगी. ऑलरेडी वी आर हैविंग सम नेगोशिएशंस विद देम सो दैट वी कैन एक्सपोर्ट ब्रह्मोस मिसाइल टू देम विच वाज नॉट लाइक्ड बाय चाइना. सो दिस इज द होल सिनेरियो राइट नाउ. ये पूरा सिनेरियो आपको समझना होगा. एंड नेशनल हाईवे अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया लाइक it enters the Guinness World Record because in one day they constructed 75 kilometers of highway. Okay, so काफ़ी अच्छा रिकॉर्ड है ये. So this was in news. Other than that, we had this news. Russia backs Ukraine grain export plan. Okay, so this is what it is, but it is a difficult activity because you have to carry out demining. उसके बाद ही आप आगे इसको लेके जा सकते हो. So willing to work with India to help Sri Lanka. This is what China is saying. It's a positive development if both India and China they can work together to help out Sri Lankans because Sri Lanka is right now under mess. Okay, so that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing on the internet on the economy page. So RBI governor is saying that Indian economy well placed to deal with the challenges. Okay, so like he's saying that macroeconomic parameters of Indian economy is quite strong. They will be able to deal with this particular crisis like situation. So जो भी ये problem आज की डेट में आपको दिख रही है, we will be able to deal with that. That's the point here. Already RBI is increasing the interest rate, which is also showing that our economy is in a situation to deal with the crisis. Okay, so that's the major point here. That's it for the day then. Thank you very much.